In the news this hour, hundreds of soldiers gather for SANDF memorial service, and Japan plans to sharply increase its money supply. Good afternoon. Hundreds of soldiers from 44 Parachute Regiment in Bloemfontein, as well as family members and the community, have gathered in the regiment's church for the national service of the 13 soldiers who were killed in Central African Republic 10 days ago. The photos of the deceased are displayed in the foyer of the church. Free State Premier Ace Magashule and the chief of the SANDF are expected to address the memorial service. Meanwhile, the chief of the South African Navy, Admiral Rifilwe Mudimu, has hailed the South African soldiers who died in the CAR last week. He says they demonstrated a willingness to give up their lives so that the rest of the nation can enjoy life in abundance. Mudimu praised their bravery and said they will never be forgotten. He's giving his annual media briefing on the state of the Navy in Simonstown. Economist Dilip Garach says South Africa's drop in the Business Confidence Index will make it more difficult for the country to capitalize on the gains made at the 5th Annual BRICS Summit in Durban. Business confidence slumped to its lowest level in 13 years, fueling concerns about sluggish economic growth. It fell to 90.4 in March from 93 in February. Garach adds that the increased price of petrol to over 13 rand a litre will also escalate business costs.
BRICS itself not only looks at South Africa, but looks at the whole of Africa, the continent itself. This will take time, and I really believe that perhaps it's a 5 to 10 year progress plan that will happen, and it will not be something that South Africa will benefit almost immediately. Business confidence is something that we look forward to, and if that confidence is dropping, then fewer and fewer people will be doing business in our economy, which is not good for the country as a whole.
Proceedings at the Durban Magistrates Court has been delayed as legal representatives are still consulting with the 5 accused facing murder charges in connection with the killing of British national and rugby fan Brett Williams. All the accused have opted for their own counsel to ensure they get bail. The 5 have already spent 2 nights in police custody. This followed a public outcry at police dragging their feet in arresting the suspects. It's alleged that there was an argument between Williams and the accused which resulted in the killing after the Sharks-Rebels match in Durban 2 weeks ago. The suspects in their 20s are expected to appear in court later today. Members of Teachers Union SADTU in KZN have temporarily stopped demonstrating at 3 centres where matric supplementary exams are being marked. They are demanding an increase in marking allowances. SADTU's Provincial Secretary Mbuyiseni Matonsi says they have recalled their forces from the marking centres in KZN and are allowing the marking to resume. Matonsi says they are satisfied that the KZN Education Department is taking the matter very seriously, as they have contacted the National Education Department.
It has not necessarily been our intention that we jeopardize the chances of the learners that could not pass last year who are writing their supplementary exams. Had we wanted that, we would not have allowed them to write. We think that we have made an impact, and on that particular basis that we have decided to temporarily suspend our action in the marking process.
Matonsi says they are not withdrawing their campaign against Minister of Basic Education Angie Motshekga. And further afield, the new governor of the Bank of Japan has announced plans to sharply increase the country's money supply in an effort to shake off more than a decade of falling prices. Haruhiko Kuroda, who took up his job last month, says he wants to reach an inflation target of 2% within 2 years. The BBC's Rupert Wingfield-Hayes is in Tokyo.
This is about increasing money supply, but it's not just about increasing money supply, it's also about where that money is going. And this is the big change. Instead of buying short-term government bonds, they're going to buy a lot more long-term government bonds. That means it's going to be super cheap to borrow money in Japan. People can go and borrow money at very, very low interest rates and invest that. And the second thing is that he's going to put money into the stock market. This ETF, the exchange-traded funds, this is actually putting money directly into the stock market, thereby increasing the value of stocks and shares and increasing the value of companies so that they can go out and spend more money as well.
Recapping your top story, hundreds of soldiers from 44 Parachute Regiment in Bloemfontein, as well as family members and the community, have gathered in the regiment church for the memorial service of the 13 soldiers who were killed in Central African Republic 10 days ago. For SAfm News, I'm Aurélie Kalenga, back with headlines at 12:30.